Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Taylor Swift. Today I'm going to react to her 2008 album Fearless and break down the album's lyrics. This is my first time listening to the album in full, but I have heard some of the singles. Before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what Taylor Swift album I should react to next. Check the description box for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, track number 1 is the title track, Fearless.
There's something about the way the street looks when it's just rain. And you know I wanna ask you to dance right there in the middle of the parking lot. Yeah, absentmindedly making me want you. And I don't know how you take my hand and drag me head first. Fearless in a storm in my best dress.
I love the sense of youthful excitement and the new love. That is so fun.
Baby, drive slow till we run out of road in this one-horse town. I wanna stay right here in this moment now. Capture it, remember it. 'Cause I don't know why it gets better than this. In a storm in my best dress, fearless. You pull me in and out, make me more free. It's the first kiss, it's flawless, really something. It's fearless.
Is it weird that I got chills from that? I'm very impressed by how well Taylor captures a sense of youthful excitement. It's a skill that she shares with Carly Rae Jepsen, and that's a big compliment coming from me as a big Carly Rae Jepsen fan. Yeah, she just conveys the thrill of that newness so well, so we're off to a really great start. And a motif that she actually carries over to her next album, Speak Now, is associating the force of love with rain. So of course here on the chorus, she is kissing this guy in the rain. And just like on Speak Now, she has this sort of American dream parallel between embracing love and leaving your small hometown for an exciting life in the big city. And she says on the second verse, drive slow till we run out of road in this one-horse town. We have this physical journey together as this classic metaphor for the life journey you take with someone who you're in love with. And run out of road, beyond being just a great turn of phrase, perfectly encapsulates how she feels about her hometown. It just doesn't have enough to offer them. She wants more, and she's ready to dive in headfirst to go and get it. Track number 2 is 15.
You take a deep breath and you walk through the doors. It's the morning of your very first day. It's your freshman year and you're gonna be here for the next 4 years. And welcome none of those senior boys who blink at you and say, you know I haven't seen you around. 'Cause when you're 15, somebody tells you they love you. You gotta believe them. Count to 10, take it in. This is life before you know who you're gonna be. 15. You sit in class next to redhead Abigail. Soon enough, your best friends. We'll be out of here as soon as we can. And your mom is waiting up, and you're thinking he's the one, and you're dancing around the room.
The way she sings also feels very breathless and excited.
When you're 15 and your first kiss makes your head spin round. You do things greater than dating the boy on the football team. But I didn't know it at 15. Back then I swore I was gonna marry him someday, but I realized some bigger dreams of mine. My friends say I can heal most anything, and you just might find who you're supposed to be. Take a deep breath as you walk through the doors.
Wow, so The song structures definitely are very similar to where they were on Speak Now, but what I really like about her point of view on this album is that she's right on the border of being a teenager and being an adult. She has this perspective where teenagerhood is still very fresh in her mind. She knows exactly how her younger audience is going to feel at these critical moments. But, having gone through what she went through personally and publicly, she has this added adult perspective that allows her to basically be like this guide for her audience into the next phase of their life, because that is what I presume she was going through while writing this album, because she must have been 18, 19 in the writing process. So her wisdom is very much the wisdom of a young adult, but still very in tune with being a teen. And she sets it all in this small town that she introduced on Fearless, and now she's zooming into, of course, the high school experience. And the quality that this high school shares with the small town as a whole is that it embodies this limited view of life. On the second chorus, she says, "In your life, you'll do things greater than dating the boy on the football team, but I didn't know it at 15. And again, not to generalize about Taylor's audience, but as a teenage pop star marketed to other young women, this is probably meant to be, in some capacity, instructive. But high school, like a small town, works thematically because of how regimented it is. In a one-horse town, you've got the doctor and the mayor and the sheriff. And in a high school, I guess sort of in like an 80s movie conception of a high school, you have the cheerleader and the jock and the nerd. So another way to be fearless then is to look beyond the bounds of these limitations and roles and expectations here really as a way of understanding and coping with the hardships of adolescence. Track number 3 is Love Story, which is a song that I know and which, if we're being real, it's a classic.
We were both young when I first saw you standing there on the balcony in summer air.
This reminds me of He Looks Up Grinning Like a Devil from Cruel Summer.
Say hello. Little did I know that you were throwing pebbles, and my daddy said stay away from Juliet. Romeo, take me somewhere we can be alone. I'll be waiting. You'll be the prince and I'll be the princess. It's a love story, baby. Just say yes.
Banger. Huge banger. Again, the garden, the place for forbidden love. Oh, that song is so good. Oh man. Yeah, I actually watched the music video for this song for a Shakespeare class in undergrad. It's an important piece of media. So Taylor's whole thing here, and a lot of pop stars in general, is that when there isn't necessarily a conflict within the relationship, the thing instead that will drive the plot emotionally of a song or of an album is really more of an us against the world mentality. Life and society are set up against true love, so for love to succeed means that a battle has been fought and won. Obviously, the song is a bit more specific with this retelling of the Romeo and Juliet story, but with them being less dead at the end. She carries over this motif of running away. Still, it's a pretty universal idea. Another notable motif appears on the second verse when she sneaks into the garden to see her Romeo, where, again, gardens represent this place of forbidden love, a motif that she carried over to later songs like Cruel Summer and most recently Betty. It's all cute and adorable and almost makes me an optimist. Almost. Track number 4 is Hey Stephen.
Hey Stephen, I know looks can be deceiving, but I know I saw a light in you.
I like that internal rhyme.
Of all the girls tossing rocks at your window, I'll be the
Okay, the throwing pebbles again.
one even when it's cold. 'Cause I can't help it if you look like an angel. Can't help it if I
so cute.
I've seen it all, so I thought, but I've never seen nobody shine the way you do. Hey, Stephen, why are people always leaving? I think you and I should stay the same. Can feel this magic I've been feeling since I met you. Turning the street lights, you're perfect for me. Why aren't you here
Got another late night rendezvous here.
shine, shine, shine? Hey, Stephen, I could give you 50 reasons why I should be the one you choose. All those other girls, well, they're beautiful, but would they write a song for you?
Ah, yes, my favorite novel, 50 Reasons of Stephen. So we have some thematic parallels between not only the song but this album and Speak Now, specifically a preoccupation with leaving things unsaid. Like on Speak Now, the title track was a story of what happens when you speak up for your love, and Back to December was a story of what happens when you don't. Here, the title track was a story of fearlessness and speaking out, whereas this song is a moment of timidity and keeping it inside. And in case you missed my Speak Now video, which you should watch, this is another case of Taylor doing the thing she wishes she'd done in the song. Hey Stephen is wish fulfillment not because it imagines Taylor being fearless, but because it is an act of fearlessness. This is a big forum for her to be announcing that she has a crush on someone and actually naming them. It's like skywriting, except then someone makes a YouTube video analyzing it. Track number 5 is White Horse.
Say you're sorry, that face of an angel comes out just when you need it to. Holding on, the days drag on. I should've known that I'm not a princess. This ain't a fairy tale. This ain't Hollywood. This is a small town. Now it's too late for you and your white horse to come around.
Okay, so she was waiting and then Romeo came on Love Story, and then on the last track, he never showed up.
That was my mistake. I didn't want to be in love. You had to fight to have the upper hand. Happy endings. Now I know I'm not the one. You'll sweep off her feet, lead her up the stairwell, and there you are on your knees, begging for forgiveness, begging for me to catch me now.
I really like how closely she is weaving together these songs. She basically repeats her motifs word for word. Face of an angel, kissing in the rain, living in a small town. So what I'm getting is, the small town is a reality, and love is this fairy tale fantasy. And as we learned from Love Story, those two things are at odds with each other. The Grimm interpretation is that love exists in fantasy. Love stories, Hollywood movies, and country songs. Reality just isn't compatible with true love, and again, that supports the us against the world mentality that she has. A more nuanced take might be that reality isn't compatible with this pure, uncomplicated idea of love that a teenager might expect. But in any case, the image has been shattered, and her youthful vision of this love and their future together has been ruined. Track number 6 is You Belong With Me, another Taylor Swift classic.
You're on the phone with your girlfriend. She's upset. She's going off about something that you said. I'm in the room. It's a typical Tuesday night. I'm listening to the kind of music she doesn't like. He wears short skirts. I wear t-shirts. She's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers. If you could see that I'm the one who understands you, been here all along. You belong with me. You belong with me. Walking the streets with you in your
more than a decade later, and that song still slaps just as hard. So part of Taylor's suspicion of the small town lifestyle has been that young people have these specific roles imposed on them, right? On 15, she said that a teenage girl in this type of town will get dumped by the football player and think it's the end of the world. And here on the first pre-chorus, of course, she says, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts, she's cheer captain, and I'm on the bleachers. This girl isn't just a cheerleader. She is the cheer captain. She is the epitome of teenage femininity. And since Taylor doesn't fulfill that, she is relegated to the bleachers, cast to the margins. So a little bit this can feel resentful in an I'm not like the other girls kind of way, but it has a lot to do with not meeting people's expectations of her. And this of course is represented largely through clothing. On the second verse she says, walking the streets with you in your worn out jeans, I can't help thinking this is how it ought to be, laughing on a park bench thinking to myself, hey, isn't this easy? She wants to be casual t-shirts and comfy jeans, not high heels and short skirts and other high effort outfits. She doesn't want to have to strain to fit a role and appear a certain way publicly or in her relationships. Track number 7 is Breathe featuring Colby Calais.
See your face in my mind as I drive away. 'Cause none of us thought it was gonna end that way. Killing me to see you go after all this time. Music starts playing like the end of a sad movie. It's the kind of ending you don't really want to see. Never a clean break, no one here to save me. You're the only thing I know, like the back of my hand. Breathe without you, but I have to.
That's some intense longing there.
Never wanted this, never wanna see you hurt. People are people, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And I can't breathe without you, but I have to. Feeling like I just lost a friend. Hope you know it's not easy for me.
Love the strings as always. So I'm a little bit surprised at the lack of Kobe that we heard on this track because she is a featured artist, but I would imagine this is like a co-write situation where Kobe just did backing vocals, so I guess it was nice that she was officially featured. So on the first verse, Taylor brings back the driving motif when she says, I see your face in my mind as I drive away, and then later on the second verse when she says, never want to see you hurt, every little bump in the road I try to swerve. Love, the long and winding road had some speed bumps, and now Taylor has to drive off alone. But she actually might have predicted this on the opener when she said that the small town only has so much road to offer. If the love is the road and the road in a small town is short, that can suggest that the strictures of a parochial life are limiting to love. So now she has to learn how to be her own person and how to be alone again. Track number 8 is Tell Me Why. Is that a fiddle over a hip hop beat? Sick.
I took a chance, I took a shot, you took a swing, I took it hard, and down here from the ground I see who you are. Feeling like I don't know you, you tell me that you love me, then cut me down. And here's to you, and you tell yourself, remember what you said last night. Tell me why.
Okay, this is fun.
I get so confused and frustrated. Forget what I'm trying to say. Sick and tired of your reasons. I got no one to believe in, and I know that you see what you're doing to me. Tell me why do you have to put down my dreams? So you're the only thing on my mind.
Good for her.
Take a step back, let you go. I told you I'm not bulletproof, now you know.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That song moved at a much quicker clip than some of the other songs, which I think is the reason that it is the shortest song on the album. It's sort of an outlier in that way. It really leaned into some of that Americana instrumentation, especially the fiddle. But yeah, that might be one of my favorite deeper cuts so far. I really enjoyed it. So now, the call is coming from inside the house. The problems in the relationship are coming from within it instead of from the pressures of the outside world. This guy pretty much is a jerk, but the problem emotionally is that Taylor is very, very invested and dependent on this love. We know this about her from Breathe. She said that she basically needed her ex to function, so it's no surprise that she would stick around despite being mistreated. And she conveys this on the first line when she says, "I took a chance, I took a shot, and you might think I'm bulletproof, but I'm not." Usually taking a shot means like giving something a shot, taking a chance. So with this pun, Taylor tells us that she has gone out on a limb for this love, and it's come back to hurt her. She's giving this relationship her all, and because of her dependency, it's breaking her down. Track number 9 is You're Not Sorry. Oh no. Uh-oh. She's gonna be in her feelings now. Piano and strings are never a good sign.
All this time I was wasting hoping you would come around.
They never do.
And it's taken me this long, baby, but I figured you out. You don't have to come anymore. I won't pick up the phone. You can tell me that you're sorry, but I don't believe you, baby, like I did before. You're not sorry. Could've loved you all my life if you hadn't left me waiting in the cold.
Damn.
And now you're asking me to listen 'cause it's worked each time before. I won't pick up the phone. This is the last show. You can tell me that you're sorry, but I don't believe you, baby, like I did before. Used to shine so bright, but I watched all of it fade. So you don't have to come.
Okay, so this song was a bit more straightforward lyrically, but it marks an important character progression. Before, Taylor was heartbroken and forgiving and always trying to be on the side of her partner or ex. But now she feels betrayed and she won't believe the lies anymore. On Tell Me Why, Taylor was being mistreated but continued trying to keep the love alive. Now, the person who wronged her maybe is trying to make things better, and before she was the person who tried to patch up the boat, but now she's saying, no, it's not gonna work. Been there, done that, not trying it again. So maybe we're in a bit more of an upward trajectory emotionally, but we'll find out on track number 10, The Way I Loved You.
He is sensible and so incredible, and all my single friends are jealous. And I get into his car and he says, "You look beautiful tonight." But I've been screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain, and it's 2 a.m. and I'm cursing your name, and that's the way I loved you.
Oh no, don't get the feelings for him again. Just move on. I am jamming to a very toxic thought process.
He calls exactly when he says he will.
Good things.
He's close to my mother. Talks
Excellent things.
it's 2 a.m. and I'm cursing your name. He's so in love.
She always goes for it vocally. Okay, we gotta talk about this one. I mean, I'm talking about all of them, but this one especially. So Taylor has acclimated to the feeling of being in an unstable, toxic relationship, and I guess misses the excitement of that type of conflict. She's got a new man who's respectful and nice, but as she says on the chorus, she misses screaming and fighting and kissing in the rain. She recognizes where it comes from, but I just want to say that this is a pretty immature way of looking at relationships. Like, there are ways to make life not boring that don't involve that type of conflict. On the other hand, something happening underneath the surface is that Taylor understands that she has internalized these narratives that have been fed to her. That's where her interest in fairy tales and Hollywood movies comes from. And of course, one of the central attributes of narratives or stories is conflict. I mean, generally there is no story without conflict, and Taylor wants a story, a thing to overcome. And that line of thinking works in pop songs and rom-coms, but not in real life. Track number 11 is Forever and Always.
Once upon a time, I believe it was a Tuesday when I caught your eye. You looked me in the eye and told me you loved me. Were you just kidding? 'Cause it seems to me this thing is breaking down. When I stare at the phone, you still hasn't called, and then you feel so low you can't feel nothing at all. Oh, I need a raise in your bedroom. Everything is wrong. You said forever and always. Was I out of line? Like a scared little boy, I looked into your eyes. Thought I knew you for a minute. Though here's to everything, coming down to nothing. Here's to silence that cuts me to the core. When everything is wrong, it rains when you're here and it rains when you're gone.
Sounds like the rain has changed here.
Did you forget everything? You said forever and always.
Wow, okay. So there's a surprising amount of real estate on this album dedicated to breakups, but something that Taylor does that's interesting here is that she uses rain in a different way from how she usually does. On the chorus, she says, "It rains in your bedroom, everything is wrong. It rains when you're here, and it rains when you're gone." On most of her other songs that mention rain, rain is just love. It's the force of the elements coming down in a release of passion. But then on the last track, Taylor acknowledged on some level that passion is related to conflict. So those were the two dimensions of the symbol of rain, but now rain is just the ever-present sadness of being in a relationship that's crumbling. If this were track number 2 of the album and Taylor were constantly caught in the rain, that would mean that she was in this perpetual state of romantic bliss. Now, love is always present, but it's the cold, harsh, zombified corpse of dead love. Track number 12 is The Best Day.
I'm 5 years old, it's getting cold. I've got my big coat on. Past the pumpkin patch and the tractor rides up now. The sky is gold. I don't know why all the trees change in the fall. I know I had the best day with you today. I'm 13 now and don't know how my friends could be so mean. And we drive until we found a town far enough away. I know I'm laughing on the car ride home with you. I know I had the best day with you today. Had best days with you.
Oh, it's about her mom. That's so sweet.
I had the best day with you today.
Aw, that was very beautiful, the song and the message. So here's a classic move that Taylor also made on Speak Now, which is that when things have gotten bad in her life and in this story of love that she's telling, she pulls back and talks about her childhood. Let's think about the good times, right? And here she's talking about her mom, and it's presumably an autobiographical account of some of the things that her mom did for her when she was growing up to guide her and comfort her. But a significant detail is on the second verse. She says, "I come home crying and you hold me tight and grab the keys, and we drive and drive until we find a town far enough away." Once again, to find her happiness, she has to leave this small town. But more specifically, it seems like she learned this idea of driving as an embrace of love, as an escape from her mom. So we have actually gone back and drawn a line between her childhood coping skills and the ways that she experiences and frames love and conflict now as a young adult. The final track, track number 13, is Change.
It's a sad picture. The final blow hits you. Somebody else gets what you wanted. Another time and place, repeating history. You're getting sick of it. Because these things will change. Can you feel it now? The time will come for us to find a way. And we'll sing hallelujah. We've been outnumbered, rated and now cornered. It's hard to fight when the fight
And that is how the album ends. So once again, just like on Speak Now, she ends the album with a song about her career. It's a bit oblique, but we see her finding a new type of conflict in her life, and that is in the music business. She paints this rise to fame as a revolution and uses this war language, and she says on the bridge, "We'll stand up champions tonight." And even though we have these mentions of singing and performing that signal us to this underlying message about her career, this just as reasonably could be about love too. When she talks about being outnumbered, it's the same sort of us against the world mentality that fueled her love stories. And as a young person, a teenager facing these experiences with love and fame for the first time in parallel, it makes total sense that young Taylor would see every achievement and milestone as this monumental thing. And Taylor actually was the rare teenager whose every struggle and milestone actually was this big, this public, and this influential. Overall, Fearless has a really consistent and fun blend of country and pop rock. I think Taylor's voice on this album was just as wide-eyed and breathless as it was world-wearied and wise. I think her sense of detail grows even more on her subsequent releases, but she has a really strong sense for storytelling and for stringing together these very tight motifs. So thank you to all of you who recommended that I listen to this album. As always, let me know in the comments down below what Taylor Swift album I should react to next and what other topics you'd like to see me cover on my channel. Check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.